breath to still the mind. Breath work. I teach a lot of breath work. Breath work is an extraordinary way to land into what psychotherapists would call the possible human. When you think about the state of being anxious and triggered, you're in a state of protect, attack, defend, a kind of impossibility of overwhelm. The whole of your body is contracted, your mind is racing, your breath is fast. Even if you're curled up under the stairs, you are in a hyper-aroused experience of yourself, in a way kind of desperately trying to keep alive. If you think of your worst case scenario imagination, which is where we go in our brain relative to feeling triggered. Breath work is a very interesting thing because when you're stressed and anxious, your breath will speed up to 15 to 16 times per minute. Yes, that's very fast. And if you're trying to fall asleep and you can't, notice how fast you're breathing and slow your breathing down. But there's one more step to that. I'm choosing to teach a breath sitting in a chair because breath work does not have to be done sitting on a yoga mat. Breath work can be done on the bus, on the train, waiting for the bus, sitting in an office. It can be done, actually, some of it can be done lying down in bed. So with breath work, you do the opposite to what you do when you're stressed and anxious. When you're stressed and anxious, all of your body tightens up. Your diaphragm rises and it stays there, and it's to help you breathe very, very fast. And sometimes in breath work, we do fast breaths. But when we do fast breaths, we're actually controlling the diaphragm. So I think that in the universe, only birds, whales, dolphins, and humans can control their diaphragm to the extent that we as humans are capable of doing. And when we learn that our diaphragm is one of the fastest ways, manipulating the diaphragm is one of the fastest ways to change how you feel to the better, and of course you have to deserve to change how you feel to the better, because obviously it's counterintuitive to do that, because you'd be abandoning a whole trope and story that you have shame and you're not worthy. God, I digress, don't I? But when you breathe consciously, you take over the diaphragm. So it's not automatic. You take over the diaphragm. Seems like a really strange thing to do. Diaphragm is a huge muscle, very high up, curved muscle, right set in the front of the base of your diaphragm is actually the base of your sternum. And it curves up and back, and it meets your psoas muscle at the back. You might not know what any of that is, but your diaphragm is like a mushroom. And it's the rising and falling of the diaphragm that lets you breathe, that pumps your blood around your body, helps your heart. So it moves with your heart, not at the same pace, hopefully. But when you go into a changing room, and let's imagine that you're trying on a pair of trousers and the trousers are too small or they're too tight. What you might do is you're standing there and you might pull your breath in and tighten your stomach. Then you have a very inflated chest and you have a flat stomach to be able to do your trousers up. That's reverse breathing. That is not what we're going to do. This is an interesting thing. I talk about this a lot because when you're breathing consciously, so when you're stressed, you're unconsciously breathing. Your breathing is fast. When you're consciously breathing, running is a way that you consciously breathe. You notice your breath. But when you're slowing down and you want to manage your mind, you want your diaphragm to go down. Now, we're talking about counterintuitive all the time. To work on your shame is to be counterintuitive to the story. It's to betray the story, if you will. To breathe consciously is to push the diaphragm down, which means that your stomach needs to inflate. You almost need, it's counterintuitive. If you like to be thin, most people want to be thinner, hence the joy of all these injections that you can have. But when you're breathing consciously, you want to push your diaphragm down so that your belly inflates. Now, you might not want your lover or your partner to see that your belly does that. They may know, but you don't want them to see it. But that's the bit you want to get to. Can you make your belly inflate? If you take a deep breath, can you push your belly out like a balloon? That's when your diaphragm is going down. And then when you breathe out, so breathing in, your belly swells. The reverse of the trying on trousers. You breathe in, your belly swells. You breathe out, your belly goes in. And you empty your lungs and you use your stomach muscles to help push your diaphragm up. So you might need to practice that. If you have a tall dark history, if you're very anxious, it's quite likely that you keep your diaphragm frozen. But come back to when you're stressed and anxious, you're breathing 15 to 16 times a minute. We're going to do a breath that slows you down. So we'll start with 5 seconds in through tight lips, 5 seconds out through the nose. 5 seconds in through tight lips, 5 seconds out through the nose. The ask when you breathe out is not, don't tighten your throat. You're not doing what's called ujjayi breathing, oceanic breathing, hissy or foggy breathing. You're keeping your throat open. So you're going to aim to go to 10 seconds. So if you can breathe 10 seconds in, 10 seconds out, you're slowing your breath down to 3 times a minute. And that's an amazing takeover of your stress system, which all of us are capable of. And that takeover of your stress system via the diaphragm, it does an extraordinary thing. It slows your brain down. It slows your mind down. It changes how your body is reacting to the perceived or real trigger. Because sometimes actually you do need to find calm. Sometimes you need to be the person that's looking after the kids or that's actually in charge. And sometimes what you're stressed and anxious about doesn't actually exist. It's all in your head. So let's do this. Sit beautifully. Sit up. Don't sit in a slouchy chair. Sit up. I sound like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound as bossy as I did, but actually do sit up. Sit up so that your chest is open, your tail is open, and your shoulders are wide and down. And you sit up and you're going to breathe through tight lips for 5 seconds. So I'm going to close my eyes because it's a habit I have of closing my eyes. So if you want to close your eyes, I'm not going to go anywhere, I promise. So inhale through tight lips for 5 seconds. Hold for a moment and then a totally silent exhale through your nose. So remember, you're releasing your belly. Again, 5 seconds in through tight lips. And silent exhale. And you'll notice it's already having an effect. We're going to extend it now to 7 or 8 seconds. See how you do. It has to be a slightly quieter breath. And I notice now, keep breathing slowly. I notice I can hear the birds. I notice I can hear a clock ticking on my desk, and my desk is 3 meters away. The world begins to appear around you. Notice. This is a breath to still the mind. You inhale through really tight lips into your belly, swelling your belly. You use your stomach muscles to fully exhale. And as you begin to master this breath, you can go to 15 seconds, 20 seconds. If you're breathing 20 seconds, you're breathing less than twice a minute. That means that you absolutely own your stress system. And at the end of this breath, take a deep inhale. So through your mouth. Hold the breath and tighten all of the interior muscles of your body. So tighten your pelvic floor, tighten your stomach muscles, tighten your neck, and then exhale and just sit with your eyes closed if you can, and be still. And it's one of the most extraordinary things to notice that it really is your brain. It really is your mind. It really is your body. You can change how you feel.